good morning to you folks. Welcome into our Senior Salute show here on C103 and Good Guys Radio TV. I'm your host, Matt Hildebrand, joining you here on this Monday as we continue our shows. In case you've missed any of our past shows, you want to check those out on goodguysradiotv.com or the Good Guys YouTube and Facebook page. And settle in because we have shows all throughout this week coming your way here on C103 and Good Guys Radio TV. So with that, we're going to introduce our group we have here today from Ripley High School, and we'll go down the line, just allow everybody to introduce themselves. Doug, if you want to start us off, you're kind of our adult in chaperone here today for our seniors.
Well, my name's Doug Bowery, and I've had the pleasure of having both of these students in class before, so we've got some good ones for you to talk to today. That's
fantastic. So a little background on yourself. How long have you been an educator at Ripley?
I've been at Ripley for 30 years.
Wow.
I teach, I'm the department chair for our social studies department. I teach all of the social sciences, government histories. My bread and butter, though, is the psychology classes.
Okay,
the kids all love those, so yeah.
Okay, so it's a big job, I'm sure, kind of especially in a town and in a county that's so full of history as Brown County is.
It absolutely is, but it's a pleasure. I've enjoyed every single minute of it.
Awesome. Well, let's introduce our seniors now. We're going to start with Hannah.
I am Hannah Hauke. I'm the valedictorian of the class of 2025, and I've gone to Ripley my entire life.
Your entire school career. So from kindergarten all the way up through, preschool all the way up through even?
Preschool all the way through.
Wow, that's awesome. So valedictorian, that's a huge accomplishment. Big congratulations to you. Was that a goal that you had in mind, you know, from the start of high school, or has that been something that's just kind of happened naturally, and as, you know, you've gone through, you're like, oh, well, okay, yeah.
It was a goal of mine. My sister was salutatorian in her class, and, you know, being the little sister, I wanted to beat her.
That sibling rivalry, it'll get a lot done. So that's awesome. Well, congrats to you. At any point, was it like a question mark of, oh gosh, I got an A- on this paper, so that could be thrown into question, or has it been smooth sailing all the way through?
There was hard times, like every other person in high school has, but sure. I just kept my head straight and kept on going.
There you go. That's all you can do. Next up, Austin, a little about yourself, a little background.
Yeah, I'm Austin Manning. I'm the salutatorian for the class of 2025, and I've also been at Ripley my whole life. I did not go to preschool, though. I started in kindergarten.
Okay, so Hannah got you just barely up there.
Yeah, she did. She did.
Talk about academic accomplishments, what it means to you. I know both of you have a ton of accomplishments outside of being valedictorian and salutatorian we're going to talk about, but just to start, what's it mean to you to be kind of in that top % of your class?
Yeah, it's really cool for sure, especially considering there's been some smaller classes from Ripley, and I feel like we're one of the bigger ones. There are bigger ones than us, but we're one of the bigger classes, so it's a big honor for sure. And I kind of screwed myself when I started as a freshman and got a B right off the bat.
Man.
So I knew anybody with a 4.0 would get me, but it's been it's really cool, and it's gave me a lot of opportunities for the future.
What was the B in? We've got.
It was in 9th grade English. I got a B.
Okay, you speak English.
I do speak English, but
well, you know,
apparently not good enough. So.
Not well enough. Yeah. See, that's what.
Well, there it is. Yeah,
I'm just kidding you. That's terrible. Anyways, big congrats again, guys, for getting this far. Hannah, I want to talk a little about that again. That drive outside of, you know, beating your sister, making sure you were valedictorian while she was salutatorian. As Austin mentioned, you guys are in a little bit bigger class for Ripley High School. So at this point, has it been, you know, kind of a friendly competition with Austin and with others in that to like keep on the straight and narrow as you mentioned?
Well, me and Austin have always had a bunch of friendly different competitions, especially in our FFA competitions. We always try to beat each other. I'm not going to say my whole drive was to have competitions with other people. Yeah. I've always wanted to be valedictorian, just like a lot of other people. It's a great honor to have, and it does a lot for your future, especially me wanting to go to college.
For sure. Like we talked about with Austin, that one class you got to be in, that freshman English class. Was there a class that was that you took under your belt that was maybe tougher than others throughout your high school career?
I took a college ethics class this semester, and I was a little worried about it, but I pulled through with an A.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. So ethics, explain for folks who maybe haven't gone to that level, haven't done that. What are some of the, I guess, what's the classwork like? I think most of us kind of know ethics is kind of right versus wrong, but within that, what's a classroom setting look like?
Well, I actually took it through the college, and it was a complete online class.
Okay.
So I wrote a bunch of essays on different behaviors and like the origin.
Okay. Interesting. So talk about the drive to do that. I think online classes, extremely difficult. Maybe not so much for you guys, because I guess in your junior high years, you would have been kind of in that COVID phase where you had all online classes, but was that a learning curve for you to kind of be independently on your own and study?
I actually prefer online classes versus in person.
Okay.
I'm more productive early in the morning, so I get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I do a bunch of work. And then I'm able to go out and go to work during the day or do other tasks that I need to do. And then I can come home, say 8 o'clock at night, go to my room, study, versus having to sit in a classroom with a bunch of different distractions.
I got that. Okay. Well, I think that's maybe the best way that anybody's put their preference to online classes is to be as productive as you can be while you're most productive. So good on you for recognizing that as, a high school student, because I think a lot of people take a really long time to learn that. Austin, for you, different classes outside of freshman English, challenges that you've come through your high school years. Was there a hardest class to get through?
I feel like when you take college classes, especially online classes, it makes you put into perspective what the high school classes are and what the college classes are and how different they are. And I think it makes the high school classes easier. But at the same time, with trying to balance all that, you can kind of miss some content in other high school classes.
Sure.
And I'll use Mr. Bowery's psych class for an example. There was a couple units where there was a lot of information, and already having a lot of information from college classes, it's hard to get everything into your brain. So some of the unit tests that we had were maybe a little shaky and brought me to a low A. So those
You could have ended it all.
Yeah, those kind of scared me sometimes, but it never did end up dropping below where it needed to be.
Yeah, that's good. So. Doug, how's that make you feel to know like they're claiming your classes are some of the hardest in the high school?
Well, I'm not sure that's exactly what he said, but
that's the way I read it anyway.
No, the psychology class, and especially the psychology class, I've designed it to be an upper-level social sciences course, more of an introduction to psychology, because I know that these kids are going to see that those psych classes when they get to college. So I wanted to prepare them on what it's going to be like to not have everything just hand fed you.
Sure.
And you actually, right now they're in a research phase where I'm making them do a lot of research on things. And I know they don't like it maybe a lot, but my job is to prepare them for the future. So, and both of these guys have done excellent work in my classes, so no complaints about that at all.
Well, good.
But I'm not going to apologize for them being harder either.
Well, I again, I like the take that it's your responsibility as an educator to prepare them for that next phase of life, whether that's going to the college level or going into the military or going into the workforce. Like the expectations certainly change a lot from high school into that next phase. So
absolutely.
How do you impose on that for kids that are, 16, 17, 18 years old that, hey, this kind of this way you've been for 13 years and how we've operated is getting ready to shift in a big way?
One of my favorite things to say to my kids is that, and these guys have heard me say it on more than one occasion, when you get out of this fantasy world that we call American public education and you get back out there into the real life world, real world situations, I don't want you to look back and say, hey, Mr. B didn't help me prepare for this at all. I want you to look back and say, well, Mr. B told me this was how it was going to be, and here it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my driving force behind that.
Good deal. It's a realist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, outside of taking psych classes and, worrying about that, let's talk about some of the other things you guys got involved in. Hannah, I know you mentioned FFA, and I know both of you were very highly involved in that. So we'll start with that, some of your experiences through the FFA program at Ripley.
I've had a lot of different experiences in FFA. I joined FFA my 7th grade year. We had just gotten a junior high ag program, so we were able to join in 7th grade, and that's where I fell in love with livestock judging, which I've been doing for the past 6 years.
That's awesome.
And then I've been an officer my entire high school career, done many different CDEs, conventions, farm science review, a whole bunch of different travel opportunities. So
if you could do it, you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Well, let's start first and foremost with being an officer in the FFA, especially as a freshman coming in. I think that can be a little daunting, right, to have that responsibility put upon you that early. But how did you finish out? I'm assuming president, vice president, you've kind of run the gamut on that at this point.
Freshman year, I was reporter, so I did a lot of picture taking, and I'd have to write different articles for like newspapers. And for a reporter, you have like a scrapbook that you fill out.
And like build that throughout the year. That actually goes to state competition, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, again, a pretty big thing to put on your shoulders as a freshman. Throughout your career, how many different positions did you hold with your FFA chapter?
I was reporter my freshman year, secretary my sophomore year, junior year I was student advisor, and then senior year I actually am reporter again. Okay,
so you've come full circle then.
Yes.
Is it a lot easier the second time around, kind of knowing the expectations and the job, how it works?
Yes and no. I mean, your chapter, through all the different officer changes, it's going to change too.
Sure.
You're going to have different people run it differently. You just have to learn to adjust.
Okay. Outside of that, I know you said livestock judging became a real passion of yours. That is something that, even though we live in a very rural community, not everybody fully, gets and understands. So take us through some of the finer points of livestock judging and kind of the mental gymnastics you have to do when those animals first come into the arena to kind of place them and pick out and pick apart what you like and don't like about them.
It can be hard at times. I mean, you can go from placing 20th to placing first in 3 days. It's so subjective. It's just matching what the officials like. And I think what helped me is I've grown up showing goats and hogs my entire life. So I was already introduced to what judges like in those animals.
Now, I have found that as we've done these shows, kids that are involved in FFA, specifically the livestock team, if they show a particular animal, somehow, some way, that's the hardest one for them to judge. So have you found that to be true with hogs and goats, or is that the opposite?
Actually, no. My best animal has always been hogs.
Okay, good.
I've actually always struggled with cattle, which is something I've never shown.
Okay, so no show experience equals having to do a lot more work to kind of get yourself familiar then.
Yep.
All right. So when they come into the ring, take us through. What are we looking for? Like, first thing you're going to point out and pick out?
Well, it depends on what type. So we have market and breeding. So on your breeding standpoint, you want structure. Those animals have to be able to walk, to be able to raise those animals in gestation. And then you want kind of width and depth to be able to carry those babies.
Okay.
And then on your market standpoint, you're not as worried about structure as you would breeding, because the way you judge them is you judge them as if they're going to the stockyards that day. So you're worried about meat. So if they have enough muscle and fat.
And how does one judge that? Because you don't actually get to like lay hands on these animals. You're just standing back looking and kind of judging by eye.
Yes. You kind of look for definition.
Okay.
So, for hogs, it's easiest to see at the ham. So at the back view, you'll see like a bulge and kind of like two bowling balls on the animal, if you want me to be honest.
Well, that's, I for layman's terms, that works for me. Two bowling balls on the back of a hog means a good hog. So, Austin, I know that you're very heavily involved with FFA and with livestock as well. So, kind of echoing what we talked with Anna. First off, I guess, were you part of the livestock judging team? Okay.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So part of that. In your experience, having experience showing animals, did that translate to being that was the easier ones for you to judge?
Well, I showed cattle, and it was actually not my easiest one.
Okay.
It was probably, there's 4 species, and out of those 4 species, I would say they were probably third easiest, so they would be one of the harder ones. I would say for me, sheep and goats were the easiest to judge. I don't know why, because I don't have a sheep and goat background,
right?
But it's just something I picked up and something that was more familiar for me, I felt like.
So sheep, goats, and then cattle, and then hogs are actually
was the hardest. Hogs was definitely the hardest.
Did you not learn the bowling ball trick?
I did not learn the bowling ball trick, and that's probably why
Hannah had to let you in on it here after the fact. But talk about, again, kind of the intricacies of seeing that animal first come into the ring. So you guys will see, I think, 4 animals per species at a time. Mm-hmm. How quickly can you discern, like, that's going to be my number 1 through number 4? And how much do you start to question yourself the longer you're in the ring?
Yeah, my motto was always look at them the whole time, the whole 8, 10, 12 minutes that you get. Mm-hmm. And you can also look at it as think long, think wrong, and start to overthink. But I always like to weigh all the options, and I used to have a problem with just looking at one specific detail and getting too hung up on that, and that's where my scores would start to plummet.
Sure.
But when you really weigh all the options and think about everything that you're looking at, I think it makes it a lot easier and your scores are going to go a lot higher. So there definitely is some overthinking in that, but the thing is you're always going to question yourself at some point in the contest. So I would rather do that than just look for 5 minutes and say, I'm good. Because if you're going to have the whole 10 minutes, you might as well stand up there and judge.
Right.
As far as discerning goes, I would say it does depend on how hard the class is and how they compare. I would say it probably takes me 6 to 7 minutes to have my definite answer out of the 10 minutes. I would say.
Well, question for both of you, since you're showing these animals and you've also learned so much about kind of how to show and how to judge these animals. Going into Brown County Fair time, right? When you walk into the ring, can you pretty easily tell, like, hey, my animal's probably one of the better ones in this ring. I've got a good chance. Or do you have to like separate your own kind of prejudices and how you judge in order to be comfortable in the arena and show? So, Hannah, we'll start with you.
Usually I'm not really looking to judge other animals. I'm more focused on, is my animal behaving right? Is it walking okay? Trying to figure out where that judge is so I know where my animal needs to be so he can judge it. Okay.
So you got too much going on your own plate.
Yeah, I'm not judging other people's animals while I'm in the ring.
So you show hogs, right? So to me, the hogs are the hardest to show. You have no hands-on whatsoever. It's just you and a stick. How does one learn to be really good at that and being able to like present your animal the way you want to without really getting to touch and interact with it?
It's just, training every single day. Hogs, a lot of people don't think they have a personality or are very smart, but they are.
Yeah.
They know, where you tap them with that stick, they know what to do. It's just about training, just like every other animal. You may have a halter on that cattle or sheep or actually sheep. You don't have a halter. You use your hand.
Sure.
But those animals could easily get away from you, just like a hog could.
Yeah.
It's just about how much you work with those animals.
I just feel a lot more comfortable if I have my hands on a rope attached to that animal versus no lead whatsoever. So good on you. Obviously you've done well with it. Austin, here's your opportunity. Yes, you have a halter on a cow. Yes, you have, your show stick in hand. But also that thing is, many, many times bigger than you if you're taking a fat steer. So to counter Hannah's argument, why is cattle maybe one of the harder species to show?
I'll kind of backtrack off the training thing too. But at the same time, I always loved the bigger ones, showing the fat steers, because they're slow and lazy and big, and they don't want to do anything.
Unless they get really ticked, it's not get away from
I mean,
you.
unless you're like getting them out of the bullpen rodeo style, they don't want to do much. They just want to eat. So that's why I always preferred them over, say, smaller heifers or feeder calves.
Sure.
Because if you do train them and go through repetition with them too, all they want to do is stand there and get scratched on their belly by the stick. So, I mean, it's just like the hog. It's you make it easier on yourself when you train and when you actually go through the process, rather than just showing up and trying to get them to cooperate when show day comes.
Yeah. So a hog project, usually a 1-year project, right? We're gonna take that, raise it, and send it to market. How quickly can you feel comfortable stepping in with an animal and knowing like he's probably gonna do what I need him to do? Like what's day one like stepping in? What do you do to start that comfortability?
Usually when you first get your animals, you spend maybe like a week just sitting in the pen. I like using a bag of marshmallows. Pigs love marshmallows.
It's a good hack, yeah.
Just to get them used to you and them know that you are their owner now. And, you have to let those animals adjust to a new place. They just, went from being around 30 other hogs to just maybe 4 animals with them. And they're in a new environment, possibly new feed and water. So they just have to get used to where they're at now and get comfortable.
And they weren't getting marshmallows at their old gig. So, yeah, got to sweeten them up quick.
It's a good trick.
Yeah. All right. And then Austin, showing steers, that's an animal that usually you're going to see, literally all the way up from birth until you make the decision to send it to market. So how do you balance that out of starting with that animal, being very, very closely tied to it and growing throughout the years with it?
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of my steers I bought when they were kind of middle-aged, I would say. Okay. I didn't see
so
all of them.
You weren't at least starting like bottle fed and having to raise it up. Okay.
But at the same time, you do spend a whole year with them.
Sure.
And for me, I just think of the juicy steak that's coming. I mean, that's what keeps me from bawling my eyes out. But my sister would be the opposite. She gets attached to them.
Yeah. But it would be hard not to do.
Yeah.
Juicy steak, though.
That keeps you motivated.
Marshmallows for hogs. That's steak for the steers. That's a good hack. So want to talk a little more about FFA kind of as a whole. Obviously, something you guys were very, very ingrained in. Let's talk about state convention, national convention. I'm sure you guys have both had multiple opportunities at this point. Hannah, we'll start with you talking a little about state convention and some of the opportunities at that level that you've had through the years.
So my favorite actually was national convention.
Okay.
I like seeing all the different chapters. You have 50 states, and usually people from like the Virgin Islands come and the different territories. I think it's just cool. I'm a very bubbly person, so I love meeting new people. I just love talking to other people and seeing how their FFA chapters function and the differences and the competitions that they do versus what we do. Yeah,
and I think it is, as I've talked to these seniors and gone through, like FFA week celebrations and stuff, it is really interesting how, again, there's those 50 states plus the territories. You guys are all in that corduroy blue jacket, right? Everybody pretty well looks the same with the same kind of dress, and yet you're coming from all these different backgrounds. What's one of the more interesting interactions you've had? I know kids have talked about like ag in Hawaii or ag in the Virgin Islands versus here. Have you had any kind of experience like that?
I talked to this one chapter. I don't remember their school name in Montana.
Okay.
And a part of their like FFA week is that they do a rodeo at the school.
Wow. Okay. So is that something that maybe we can get established? Like Mr. Foster needs to get a rodeo going then.
Maybe mutton busting.
Mutton busting we can probably do. That would work. All right.
I don't know about the full rodeo.
I feel like it could go over well. Austin, what about for you? National convention, that experience has got to be, again, kind of a wild one for a kid in high school to get to see all these different cultures and backgrounds coming together.
Yeah, it definitely is. I just like to think of the different accents and how everybody talks.
Yeah.
Especially like the guys from Texas wearing their cowboy hats and talking about all their cows at their house. It's just, it's funny to, and at the same time, I would say over half of FFA is not farm kids.
Right.
Because FFA is not just for people that farm. So it's interesting to see, too, how they tie agriculture into what they want to do and why they're in FFA. So I enjoy those interactions, too.
I think that's really interesting, though, coming from you. I mean, you guys are, you come from a farming family, right? So I would say on like a local basis, you have a pretty decent sized production and like go through farm life. Compare that to some of those kids, though, as you're talking about in Montana and Texas, where they're talking literally hundreds of heads of cattle, and kind of growing up in that. It's got to take your experience and I don't know, make you think maybe a little more about it, right? It's at least you're not feeding that many cattle at once.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with how expensive everything is.
No doubt.
It is a lot different for sure, and I think it's really cool. What kind of territories they live in and how they can raise that many cattle and have such a different experience. So, and then you look at like our operations are much smaller, maybe bigger compared to people around here.
Sure.
But it definitely opens your eyes to there's always a bigger fish.
There you go.
Yes. So it's cool.
It's a good take. Well, folks, that's going to bring us to our first break here on our Senior Salute show with Ripley High School. Be sure and stay tuned. We'll be back with more coming up here on C103 and Good Guys Radio TV, presented by CMT Components.
Our business is helping you grow. We're Baxter Tractor. We take care of you like family.
We've been growing since 1946. As your Kubota dealer, our focus is to help you grow today and into the future. Stop by one of our locations today, visit with our folks, and see our entire lineup of Kubota products.
Our business is helping you grow. Baxter Tractor.
Don't let a blown tire slow you down this season. Trust Maggulac Tire Service in Hillsboro to keep you on the roll and in the field. At Maggulac, they offer on-the-farm ag and tire service, saving you downtime and saving you money. Call Maggulac Tire Service for all your tire needs at 937-364-2592 or stop in on Route 50 in Hillsboro. At Maggulac Tire Service, their emphasis is on great service. That's more than just a slogan, that's the Maggulac commitment every single day. Your Ohio Means Jobs centers in Georgetown and Winchester provide the tools you need for your job search. Eligible residents of Adams and Brown counties may qualify for additional supportive services. Visit Ohio Means Jobs online at omjadamsbrown.org to learn more. Ohio Means Jobs is a division of ABCAP. You must meet eligibility requirements. Funding provided by TANF and WIOA and is administered by the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. When you're trying to find the best deal on a home or car, you shop around. When it comes to finding the best deal for insuring those things, it just makes sense to shop around too. That's why Column Insurance works as an independent agency. One agency, multiple carriers, allowing your agent to shop for the company that best fits your needs and budget. Column Insurance works with Nationwide and Nationwide Agribusiness, Travelers, Progressive, and more. Stop by Column Insurance in Georgetown to speak to their friendly agents, Jay, Carolyn, or Stacy, or call 378-6947 for a free quote today.
Bertram Pharmacies, serving you at 3 locations, including Donahue Pharmacy in Georgetown, Bristow Pharmacy in Ripley, and Sardinia Pharmacy. Bertram Pharmacies are dedicated to providing you and your family with the care and individual attention that you deserve. Find your local Bertram Pharmacy online or get acquainted with one of their friendly staff members behind the counter. Give your business back to a hometown pharmacy that's invested in your local community. Bertram Pharmacies, better treatment, better care.
More than a century of service. Let that sink in for a moment. For more than 100 years, since 1908 and through 4 generations of family-owned business, Georgetown Marble and Granite has stood firm in our community. They've helped thousands of families pay their respects and have memorialized so many lives gone, but not forgotten. When that difficult time comes, Georgetown Marble and Granite will be there to assist you too. Visit their location on East North Street in Georgetown or call 937-378-6314.
At SOMC, it's happening. Now the SOMC Patient Portal app puts managing your health care right in your hands. You can request appointments with a simple touch of a screen, quickly and easily get a refill of your prescriptions, make online bill payments, direct message your SOMC provider, and even have safe and convenient virtual visits just about anywhere. The Patient Portal app at Southern Ohio Medical Center. Very good things are happening here.
For hot days and cold nights, stay comfortable with Schaefer Heating and Cooling, a family-owned full-service HVAC company serving the Hillsborough area for over 37 years. Turn to us for a geothermal system, heating and cooling a home and environmentally friendly, an air purifier and cleaner, and more. Our team members are well equipped and required to complete over 200 hours minimum of training each year.
So contact Schaefer Heating and Cooling today.
Your plan is ready. It's time to build. At CMT Components, we design and manufacture quality building materials for your custom job. If you need metal panels and trim, trusses, or even a complete pole barn package, we do it all, including delivering right to your job site. To get started, call us at 937-446-3400. You can also check us out online or stop by our office in Sardinia, Ohio to discuss your plans today. Let's get building.
C103 99.5 The Edge and Good Guys Radio TV are your source for everything local, from Shack basketball
Shot by Osborne, free on the buzzer! Wow!
to Shack baseball,
Wells is going to drive. He makes it. He's safe.
Western Brown football,
Throws it towards the end zone, and it's complete.
to Shack volleyball,
Hatton for the kill, it's good.
local fairs, festivals, and more.
Ire to the finish line.
Crosses the line to get the victory.
Never miss a moment with C103 99.5 The Edge and Good Guys Radio TV. Welcome back in, folks, to our 10 a.m. community show. It's a senior salute with Ripley High School joining us here today on C103 and Good Guys Radio TV. Guys, again, want to say a big thank you to all of you coming in, talking with us, and taking time. I know it's a very busy time as we kind of run down that final stretch before high school wraps up. So, Hannah, Austin, any big things left on your to-do list that you've got to make sure we knock out before the graduation date comes around?
I better get my speech wrote.
I heard that might be a thing that is on the back burner for you. So how far along are you on writing this long speech?
Don't even have the doc made.
Okay, good. So no title, no nothing.
Nope.
Any ideas rolling around in your head of like, yeah, I got to sum up 13 years of going to high school with these people. I probably should find something.
I think I know what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
It's just finding the time to actually sit down and write it out.
No doubt. Like anytime you've done, say, research papers, anything like that, is that something you kind of have to shut everything else down with? Or are you a multitasker and like having the kind of, crazy busy schedule to work through?
Usually I like organizing my classes by like days. Like I do one class at a time.
Okay. So you're a like, open this box, let's do this box, or shut this box, move on to the next one. I got you. That's a good way to be. That's good. Austin, you also have a speech, but it sounds like you're already finished.
Yeah.
Hey, overachiever. That's good. So take us through the speech writing process, kind of the same with Hannah. How do you, any tips for her of summing up 13 years of schooling and friendship?
I just like to hit the high points and talk about the people that were involved along the way, and mostly just try to talk about myself the least. Okay. Because, you accomplished it, but you couldn't do it without the people around you. So that was my main focus. That's good. Very good. Very humble. Good deal. So nerves at all? I'm sure with FFA you guys have done all the public speaking, all the standing up in front of crowds. There's probably not much left to it. But Hannah, are there any, kind of butterflies in knowing that this is like the last big hurrah that you're going to get up in front of everyone?
Not really.
No?
I mean, most of the people at graduation have known me my entire life.
Yeah.
So they know what high school has been like for me. It's just typing it out on a paper and giving a speech in front of people. Now,
what are some of the pros and cons here? Ripley is a smaller school in the area. You've kind of known all of these people you're graduating with, as you said, your entire life. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or are there again pros and cons to all of that?
I think it's a really good thing. You build a lot of good friendships along the way, and you get to see how different people can be in the end. Sure. You may have grown up with the same people your entire life, and then high school hits and everyone goes their separate ways.
Yeah. Prepared for it, or are you going to miss your high school days?
I'm gonna miss some of the memories I made in high school, but it's just fun to see that I finally made it and I get to start a new chapter in my life.
Yeah, awesome. Austin, talking about being in a smaller school, when it comes to sports, I think you're a prime example of kind of how you have to operate if you're going to compete in sports. You kind of have to do a little bit of everything. So take us through some of the different sporting experiences you've had through your high school career.
My main thing would be basketball was the one I played my whole life.
Yeah.
I also did baseball until about 7th grade and then took a few years off and then came back the last 2 years. And then golf was a new thing for me this past year.
Okay.
And it had a lot to do with my junior high ag advisor coaching it.
Okay.
Kind of talking some of us guys into it.
Take us through. So again, you're a pretty athletic guy. You play a lot of different sports, stay pretty active. Talk about the learning curve that comes with picking up a new sport, especially, at this phase of life where it's not something you've been familiar with all through your formative years.
Yeah. I think golf would probably be the hardest thing for somebody to pick up, especially just being a new thing and doing it competitively. I kind of started out rough, but as I got going, I started to get better at it. And then I actually started to be one of the top guys on our team.
Yeah.
And then, like any other golfer, I started to plummet and started shooting.
You did the whole roller coaster.
Yeah,
You're on it.
Yeah, I did. Started shooting in the high 50s on 9 holes again and went through the cycle again and then would shoot 40s the next day. So I would say my golf career was very inconsistent, but I would say a lot of people could say the same for themselves.
No doubt.
So,
golf is very humbling, pretty much immediately.
For sure.
And then basketball, something, as you said, was a big passion of yours, enjoyed. From my memory, you actually had pretty scary injury in your senior year.
Yeah, I did. At Manchester in December, I did dislocate my knee. And thought it was going to be a lot more serious than it actually was. I did not end up tearing anything in my knee.
Man.
So I only had to miss, and it was a good time to get hurt because it was going into Christmas break.
Sure.
So we had 2 holiday tournament games, and then we had 1 league game at Fayetteville that I had to miss. But after that, I was able to come back for the rest of the year.
That's fantastic. So no reason it gave out? Or is it, like you weren't... It's not all those steers you've been dragging around all those years.
No. It's not a bad knee or anything.
Okay.
I went up for a shot and ended up coming down and just completely twisting my knee in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
I thought when it happened that I bumped knees with somebody, but that was not the case going back and watching the video. It all just happened so fast.
Man, glad you're okay.
Yeah.
Glad you got to get the rest of that senior experience, because that would have been kind of a bad way to go out. So yeah, good deal. With that, guys, want to talk about some different things you've gotten to take part in for senior year. Senior prom, senior, I don't know. Do you guys do a senior skip day? That seems to be something that does and doesn't happen depending on the school. The smiles tell me that there was some sort of senior skip day, whether it was official or not. So, Hannah, what's the story?
I actually don't really go to school at Ripley my senior year.
Hard to make a senior skip day when you're not there. Yeah.
I guess you could say I've skipped the entire year.
There you go. Any specific senior skip day though, Austin? There was an actual like we're gonna make this a thing.
Yeah, well, there was one I was not really informed about in February on one of the coldest days of the year.
Nice.
So it made no sense to skip school that day, so I did not. And because we wanted to plan something in the spring on a decent day like today to go to Kings Island or something, but the seniors who did skip on the cold February day, I think just were under the impression that we were just staying home that day and not doing anything as a group.
Gotcha.
So
that's still pending then.
Yeah, I did not participate in the first one. So.
Okay. Well, you guys are running out of days.
Yeah, we are.
Eventually,
last week,
you're just gonna have a senior get together. So.
Yeah.
Senior prom, you guys have already had prom, I'm assuming, at this point. So, Hannah, tell us about the dress. What was the outfit like for you this year?
This year, if you ask everybody that saw me in my dress, it was nothing that they would have thought I would have got. It was hot pink.
Wow.
Ruffles from the waist down, and then the top was bedazzled.
Dang. Okay, so you were like all the sparkles going all out for senior prom.
We went out for senior year.
That is fantastic. So the big question, could you still move? Because that's kind of the litmus test.
I actually could. The only problem I had is where I am short, my dress was very long, so I had people stepping on it all night.
You're going to have that. It happens. Austin, you didn't have that problem, I trust. Did you get to pick at least the suit color, or did you have any choice in what you were wearing?
Well, my girlfriend had a very unique dress with a lot of different colors on it, so I had a wide variety to pick from. And I actually ended up going with pink paisley as a suit.
Pink paisley suit. So you really were unique.
Yes, it was. It was pretty cool. I was pretty proud of it.
I'm going to have to see a picture of this.
Yeah.
I want pictures of both of those. So that sounds awesome. Enjoyed your senior prom, like good night, good memories, and good things to hold on to.
Yeah, it was. It was a good night. They catered some kind of snacky stuff this year from Tumbleweed, which was fine, and we ended up going to Caproni's in Maysville for our meal.
Fantastic.
And taking some pictures out in Maysville. So we had a good night.
That's good. Glad to hear it. Other senior things that you guys have gotten to do. I want to say, as I was leaving the room with FFA, you guys do some sort of field day, something like that, or FFA excursion. And who wants to touch on that a little bit?
This year we were not able to do our what we call Incredible Kid Day.
Okay.
Which is where we bring some livestock down and let them kind of check it out. And we also do some like pedal tractors and things like that.
Gotcha.
Just kind of informing them, just let them have a good time outside for that day. We were not able to do it this year with all the rain, and it kept getting pushed back to May, and now we're in the last week of school.
Right.
So it's not going to happen this year, but we usually do try to do an elementary ag day.
Okay. Well, Hannah, what for you? You know, your senior year, closing out your FFA career. What is the responsibility to kind of engage kids in ag and like get them interested from an early age, as you guys have done those kinds of projects?
I mean, it's hard to kind of get kids engaged with such a unique chapter. And everybody comes from a different walk in life. So some little kids may not even know what a cow is, or a tractor or anything. So, it's just getting on their level and helping them understand some of the opportunities that they can have in the future. It's not really getting them to say that they are going to do it. It's more of just letting them know, hey, this is a possibility.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm sad that you guys didn't get to have that, last opportunity as seniors to experience that, but still good to have those memories in your rear view. As you gear up for this last couple of weeks, Doug, we're going to turn to you first just to talk as we move towards graduation. Those needs and knows for Ripley High School graduation date.
Ripley graduation is on the 23rd of this month. The doors open at 5:30. I think the ceremony actually starts around 7 o'clock. And it's we always have a full house, as is expected. And I think this is the first year that we're actually doing it on a Friday night instead of a Sunday.
Okay, a little different.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
So I'm assuming it takes place inside the gymnasium.
It does.
First come, first serve. Is there a ticketing or?
There's no ticketing. Okay. It's come on in and watch your nieces and nephews and grandkids graduate.
Yeah.
The speeches I'm sure are going to be fantastic. I know mine's almost finished.
Not to brag or anything. Yeah. I do have to ask, being an educator for 30 years and getting to, deliver a speech to the graduating class, does that change up from year to year based on, kind of those personal experiences with the kids?
Well, this will be my probably 25th year giving a graduation speech. We call it a message to the seniors.
Yeah.
And because it's a message to the seniors, I always look at the senior class as a whole and try to think of some kind of a theme that, in my mind, fits that class.
Sure.
So every year I think about that, and I think this year the theme is going to be choices.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk to them about choices, both choices that they've made and choices that are going to be yet placed in front of them. So.
All right. No spoilers on it.
Nope.
You've got. I'm glad you've got a good, solid, thought in mind for it. Talk about being an educator for 30 years, and just again, how each class, as you said, is very different as kind of as a group, and how much like these two young people here with us, there are those standouts from year to year.
Well, there's always going to be standouts, but each class is unique, and really, the beginning of school is the hardest part for me because I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to interact with these young people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a few years to figure out. But, yeah, when you have kids like Austin and Hannah in your classes, it makes your classes a lot easier to teach because the other kids feed off of that drive and ambition that these students show. So it makes... They make my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's just it's really and I think when I think about what my job is to prepare them for the future, when you have students like these, it's a lot easier to take care of.
That's really well said, and I'm assuming. A little bit of bittersweet memories for you, as each year goes by.
My wife, every year after graduation, my wife, Linda, will say, you had people crying with your graduation speech this year, because I don't try to make people cry, but I want to be heartfelt in the message that I'm giving to the seniors. And sometimes that elicits a tear or two. Yes, it's bittersweet. I'm so happy to see these guys getting out there and succeeding through this part of their life. There are so many that don't.
Yeah.
But to see the ones that have succeeded and have gone beyond what was required, and you just look at them and you go, yeah, they're going to make their way through this life. Everything's going to be fine. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
So that's what it all boils down to, really.
That's awesome. Well, Hannah, new goal for you: make the audience cry more than Mr. Bowery does. That's what your speech needs to elicit. Let's talk about post-high school plans. Hannah, after high school, going through this summer, where we're going to end up next year and beyond.
I plan on finishing my associate's degree at Southern State.
Okay.
I've taken about a little over halfway of my associate's degree through the CCP program at Ripley. And then I plan on still taking summer classes and hopefully graduating with my associate's degree next May. And then I think I'm going to transfer down to Moorhead for a bachelor's in animal science.
Animal sciences. So what's the end goal through your time at Moorhead? What degree would you like to finish out with, and what would you like to do?
I'm hoping to major in animal science and then minor in agribusiness.
Okay.
And I think I want to try to get into the genetic sides of agriculture, whether that be with plants or animals.
Okay, that's interesting. So kind of going back into all of that experience with livestock judging, that's gonna come in handy, right? Having that background, moving into a career like that.
Yeah, I'm hoping it helps me, kind of helps me in my college with all the different animal science classes.
Yeah, and Moorhead, very good school for that. Any plans to do like collegiate livestock judging teams?
So they actually do not have a livestock judging team down at Moorhead.
I didn't realize that. Okay, I thought they did. My bad. So I guess no then at that point. But future plans as far as staying involved with FFA or 4-H within your county or wherever you end up?
Well, there's not much for me to do after high school with FFA. I guess I could help teach kids like how to do livestock judging, but there's no real after for me with 4-H or FFA.
Sure.
Other than my American degree, I'm hoping to get that a couple years after high school, maybe.
Okay. So what's that process like, getting an American degree?
Well, I have my state degree.
Okay.
And then after your American degree, you just have to get more money.
Okay. So you've done all the hard work up front.
Yes, I've done all the competitions and conventions and all the grunt work for state degree. And then American's kind of your easier degree to get. You just have to accumulate more money.
Talk about the feeling of getting to walk across the stage at state convention and have that state degree handed to you, and know all of that work was worth it.
It's amazing. When you're on stage, you don't really realize what's happening. Like, you could be on stage and there's thousands of people clapping for you, but it doesn't register in your mind.
Yeah.
There's so many pictures being taken. You're in the spotlight. You know, it's just something that I've looked forward to my entire life. So being able to finally accomplish it and be able to walk across stage was amazing. That's
awesome. Well, big congrats to you on that. That is a really huge accomplishment, a really, really big deal, not just in FFA, but, you know, as a whole, to have taken that level of dedication to something and stuck with it to that level. So, yeah, that's awesome. Austin, we're going to shift gears, talk about post-high school graduation. What's coming next for you?
So this next year, and even starting in the summer, I'm going to serve on the Ohio FFA state officer team as the reporter. And I will also be attending Moorhead next fall. So I'm going to finish my associates at Moorhead and then go through with the bachelor's there.
Okay.
So I'm planning to major in agriculture education and be an advisor myself. And it'll probably take me about 3.5 years with what I've already accumulated toward my associate's degree.
So does Mr. Foster need to watch out for his job, or?
We've talked about that some. We even had a middle schooler say that they were going to kick him out so I could come in there. And they also talked about having an elementary position.
Yeah.
To have like a three-headed monster there, but that would definitely be a lot. So we'll see where the journey takes me when we get there.
That's awesome. Well, talk about the passion then of not just loving ag to a point of enjoying it yourself, but again, kind of passing that love on to other people through education.
Yeah, I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and I said it's just like being a kid again, going on the trips. But in this position, you get to be the head guy and the leader. Mm-hmm. But also through that, FFA is about leadership. So you're molding leaders and having them lead other kids that are coming next. So through that, I've really enjoyed learning how to be a leader through FFA.
Sure.
And I also want to take it to the next level as an advisor and mold my own leaders that will lead other people, and just
it's all very cyclical, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, best of luck to both of you. Sounds like, you know, very, very achievable goals for two people who have already achieved a lot. Hannah, best of luck writing this speech. You know, got to get started on it to get it finished, but I think we've got a good starting point with Austin and Mr. Bauer to kind of, you know, encourage you along the way. And of course, best of luck with everything coming in the next phase of life, guys. Final question for you. Favorite memory, favorite class, favorite teacher. You know, let's take a look back on your high school days. Anything that stands out in particular for either of you? Austin, was there a favorite class, favorite teacher outside of Mr. Bauer, who of course was absolutely your favorite teacher and is sitting in the room with you?
Yeah, I think I'd have to turn it to Mr. Foster for sure. And I could also give a little hint to who Mr. Bowery's partner was for a while, Mr. Beerley. He was another history teacher in the building, and I really enjoyed his class just because I could relate to him a lot.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say my favorite class would have been agronomy as a junior. And it's not necessarily what you think because the class had nothing to do with agronomy. We were basically the school maintenance crew. So we helped the maintenance chief a lot with what was going on around the school. And me and my friend were the only one in the class. So, and it was an afternoon class. So it really wasn't like sitting in a classroom. It was like just jimmy rigging things up around the school and having a good time doing
lots of mowing, lots of landscaping, lots of fixing things.
Yeah, we did everything from fixing vape detectors to pouring concrete.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Okay. That's a very hands-on gig for you there. That's good stuff. Hannah, what about for you? Favorite classes, teachers, any standout moments for you in your high school career?
I want to say, though, my favorite class for my entire education would not be in high school.
Okay.
It's actually my, I believe, 6th grade science teacher, Miss Gray. She always made things so hands-on, even though we were so young. Mm-hmm. Every Monday, she'd have Mantic Monday.
Mantic?
Yes.
Mantic, okay.
So, usually Mondays you're sluggish, you don't want to be there, but she always made it fun. She'd have some type of science experiment going on, whether it was elephant toothpaste or
Hand sanitizer on fire.
Yeah, hand sanitizer on fire. We did hairspray on fire. We did it all. And then we actually hatched baby chicks and ducks in our class too, and we learned about the different process of them growing in the incubator and candling them.
How much of that early kind of hands-on educational experience do you think rubbed off on you to love things like FFA and ag so much as a high schooler and young adult?
I think the most hands-on a kid can get in the early ages, the better. I believe the hands-on experiences are what kids need to learn in school, not only to, want to show up to school every day, but to dedicate themselves to actually participating.
Yeah.
No kid wants to just sit there and stare at the board all day or stare at the computer screen. They want to be able to learn things that happen outside of school too.
Yeah, very good. Well, as we get ready to wrap, Mr. Bowery, if you can just take us through the information, need to knows again for graduation coming up at Ripley High School.
Okay, so Friday, May 23rd, doors open at 5:30, and the ceremony is scheduled to start around 7 o'clock.
There you go. First come, first serve. Get your seat, and good luck, guys. Hopefully,
see everybody there.
Absolutely. Big, bright, beautiful days ahead of you. With that, folks, we're going to wrap up our Senior Salute show with Ripley High School. Again, if you've missed out on any of our past shows, you can check those out on demand at goodguysradiotv.com or the Good Guys YouTube or Facebook page. And stay tuned because we have a full slate of shows still to come this week right here on C103 and Good Guys Radio TV, presented by CMT Components.
Thank you for tuning in. Rewatch this video and many more on demand at goodguysradiotv.com.